Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions. This is your host, Daniel Moeller, and today we're going to take a look at The Boston Bombers #1 by Caliber Press. Caliber Press was started in 1989 by Gary Reed. Um, Featured primarily creator owned books. It's probably most well known for being the company that the comic book The Crow, later the movie, came out of. Um, they had creator-owned books. They also had a lot of licensed properties as well, which was very popular in the 80s and especially late 80s and early 90s. Um, I picked up this book because I saw it in a 25-cent bin at Planet Comic Con, and it was just a hilarious cover. And no insult to the painter, Mr. Dorman, but the the vehicle and these ladies with like an Uzi, like, so it's just like a whole mishmash of things that really drew my eye. Blimps, there's a cross, a Roman staff, the explosion, the car from the 40s, like it's Indiana Jones. But this lady with an Uzi and mullets and her blouse open, and then this lady's carrying a wrench. Like, what is going on here? The expressions, and it fully painted. It's like somebody kind of drew almost a, you know, uh, figures from like a, I don't know. It's just what can I say? The colors on this are great. The colors were really striking, and it's what really first kind of pulled me in. But I took it with me because this was just too interesting looking to not dive in and find out what was going on. So let's jump in. So I think this is probably an editorial by Gary Reed. And he's basically saying that this book was actually intended to originally be in color, and it was intended to be the first non-licensed color book. So this is 1990, so this is a year after Caliber's been established. They've had non-licensed books, but they've been in black and white so far. And then they also had recently issued the Rocky Horror Picture Show title in color, and that was their first color title, according to this editorial. I've not seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show comic. I of course know the movie, um, so that's pretty interesting that's Caliber's first colored title. But yeah, they just weren't able to work it out. It wasn't They weren't able to make the afford the coloring, I guess, and so they went ahead and make it black and white. So yeah, so this was drawn originally to be colored. But he says in the editorial, and I think I kind of agree with him. It doesn't really take away from the art. The art in this is really solid. So creative team, Ron Fortier is the writer, penciled by Chris Jones, inked and lettered by Gary Cato, and the cover painting was by Dave Dorman. Um, didn't mean to laugh at it, but I mean, it was pretty silly, but technically very well executed. I mean, it's a wonderful painting. Um, okay, so I'm not going to go too much into detail on this. There were things that I didn't notice at first, and then when I went the second pass over, I was like, okay, there's some interesting stuff going on. But you get the sense like you're supposedly in Vatican City when first looking at this, but it says it's in Jerusalem, and so it's like, what? And at first I was like, um, that's not really the Jerusalem skyline. Like, what's happening here that looks more like Vatican? So some weird things. I just thought maybe the artist didn't do their research very well. It's supposedly set in 1982, St. Peter's Cathedral. Again, I'm sitting here thinking, is this not supposed to be in the Vatican? But that's fine. But you do get some really cool establishing shots. You get, a really nice use of the blacks and lighting here. Just some that wonderful technical acumen coming from the artist here. You got some paintings, and this person's trying to see the matriarch. And like, the matriarch, what? And then so they're talking with who they're calling the matriarch, and you're getting this sense of like, oh, wait a minute. And they zoom in on the crucifix, and it's a woman. So this is taking place in an alternate reality, an alternate history, where the church is matriarch centered because the Christ was female instead of male. And so I guess as a result, the church was founded in Jerusalem. So the actual there's no Vatican City, there's Jerusalem. So anyway, they are talking about Rome, and so I guess there's this conflict engaged with Rome. So the Roman Empire still stayed intact with the old Roman gods kind of reigning supreme in the state, but then the church is female centric and started in Jerusalem. So there's this like conflict going on between the two, and alliances around the world have been drawn. So we get to the main characters, and so they're talking about contracting the Boston Bombers, who are our female leads. Here, as you saw on the editorial page, it's a female group of like a special elite squad, doing special missions and stuff like that. That work for the church, apparently. And so the leader is tied up in a dungeon, and there's this Chinese group who has them tied up, and they're going to take advantage of them. And of course, there's some gaudy things that are happening here, and he gives her a kiss because he's going to rip her clothes off and show her who's boss. But then very quickly finds out that she had some sort of serum on her lips that it gives her the ability to control his mind. So he obeys her words and unties them and frees everybody else and takes out the guards. So this is the group here. Now, there's going to be the main complaint I have, because this art, again, is very well done. This God, I forgot his name already. Chris Jones is obviously highly professional, trained artist, and looks like all this was done with a brush, and it looks amazing. The line work is great. The lighting, he was definitely creating fun scenarios for the colorist to be able to play in. Look, I even got a little zipatone here. Some pretty cool stuff. However, throughout the book, all of the ladies look exactly the same. Now, here, they look different. Everybody's got their own distinct personality and look and feel. And, of course, there's, I don't know about that. But throughout the way they're drawn in the book, I can't tell one person from the other, unfortunately. So anyways, they're in a Chinese prison. This is basically, I don't think it's that important. It's like they were on a job, they were finishing a job. And so the real story hasn't started yet. So they're making their escape. This is a really cool angle here where the prison guards have the alarm going off, and they're scrambling to figure out what's what. So they're running to escape. They get inside a vehicle. So again, this is supposed to be the 80s, but yet we got like 40s vehicles and stuff. So it's one of those kind of like Tim Burton-esque situations where, you know, different time periods are kind of mixing as a result of this alternate history. So they take off out of this Chinese prison in this vehicle to meet up with Roxy, who's like their pilot slash mechanic. I really love the lettering here on this explosion. Nice. I think, you know, after being an artist who's had to draw explosions, I think I think drawing explosions in and of itself is a complete art form. And you know, if you can get your lettering right with it too, I freaking adore. I love the. I'm gonna have to lift that for sure. He's got another womb here as well. Just the it's all about the angle of the letters. I think it's about the angle and the sharpness. So a lot of fun explosions. They're shooting, blah blah blah. It's a little car chase scene. A lot of great speed line work, especially here, to really show the motion of the vehicle. There is at no point throughout this scene that I'm really getting bored and not understanding really what's happening. So they throw a couple of grenades, manage to, you know, blow away some of the guys, and then they're all sitting here laughing. Now I have no clue who any of these women are. They've thrown some names out, but look, like even every single face here looks almost exactly the same. Same kind of smile. That's actually kind of creepy. The way he just like every single one of them have the exact same expression, which is weird. I mean, it actually feels different than some of the other faces and stuff. So I wondered if he was like, see, I wonder if he was copying off of like a magazine here, and then just decided to replicate the faces all around. But it's just such an odd choice. So anyway, and you get the sense that they're supposed to be, you know, fun. This is supposed to be like a fun sort of, like I said, Indiana Jones sort of feel to things. I mean, you even get that they're going up to the same kind of plane Indiana Jones took off. Reminds me of the beginning of not Raiders, but Temple of Doom. So they're getting ready to take off in a prop plane. Here's their mechanic Roxy. A little bit more of a shootout. This lady is obviously the leader, and they make their getaway. And again, they're kind of talking, but I don't really get a sense of what's happening. So then we get a, a scene shift, and I don't exactly know which one of these ladies this is. I thought it was the leader, but again, I can't really tell, and based upon the way the names were thrown around, I don't really know who's who, so I can't really even give you some names. But you're taken to a place in Africa that you would think would be the Serengeti Plains, but it's called the Asaneti Plains. Of Roman Africa. So Rome apparently rules Africa. And there are these hunters coming by, and there's a mountain lion that's coming to attack them, and this lady shoots them, and I guess they were all on a hunt together. And this guy comes to talk with her, and you see she actually has a Roman insignia. And so they're discussing basically and plotting against the Boston bombers, and that they're going to be moving forward with a certain plan against them. But you don't really get to see who this is. Cut back to the plane. So I think that was in the past, because you cut back to the plane. The leader is meditating, and she seems to be getting all these visions. Which is kind of interesting that she has, like, so I don't know if this is a power she has or a psychic power, but it looks to be like she's getting blips of the future and doesn't really know what it's about. And then they um, start nearing these blimps that you kind of see in the front. So I thought these were like two blimps, and then as you get closer, this is such great. It's actually really well done. I mean, look at the craft as they get near the blimps called the Normandy. It's actually a giant airship of two blimps with an entire hangar connected between them. This is like a really cool double page spread. Really cool concept. It kind of reminds me of the sort of stuff that would be like in Sky Captain or Tailspin or something like that, which I just find fascinating. Like this whole creating this whole community in the sky and airships and stuff. Just I think this is an incredible shot. Again, great lighting. He's making a lot of room for the colorist, but still clearly articulating what's going on with his use of blacks. Just amazing, amazing work. Really love this two-page spread, and that this whole airship motif really captures my imagination. So anyway, they land. The admiral is there. They've captured the Chinese guy, and they're bringing him in for questioning. There's some conversations and discussions. To be honest, it is a little wordy, and because I could not distinguish the facial expressions um, enough to be able to know who was who, I was just completely lost. Except for this one gal who's Rocky, not Roxy, Rocky is her name, who's like the mechanic because she's blonde and short hair. She's the only one that looks different. But she sees one of the girls running up to like a different level than what the ballroom is in, the dining room where they're supposed to be meeting for dinner, and then discovers that the lady has gone to the captain of the ship and basically taken him out, and she is working for the Romans and signaling with some sort of light in the sky all of these like cool air glider dudes to come and attack, which is a really cool scene. So that's a lot of fun as well. I mean, look at the facial expressions here. I mean, this guy obviously can do different facial expressions that have a little bit more distinct, semblance of distinguishing features, and then he does these like weird fake smile things, which I just where everybody looks exactly the same. Just wish he wouldn't do that. But anyway, cool scene. Ratatatata, Rocky tries to stop her. There's a little bit of a shootout. And this is where the wrench comes in. Because my wife saw this when I picked it up. She's like, why is she holding a wrench? Rocky had a wrench in her bag because she knows she's the mechanic. So she always carries a wrench in her handbag. And throws it and knocks the lady out. And then is able to hit the alarm. So they now know all these people are coming to invade. But they're still on their way. And then here the lady calls Rocky a Christo bitch. Because it's like Christians versus the Romans. And then attacks her after getting hit in the head. And they both fall out of the tower. So this, if you recall, this ship had these like tall watchtowers in the sky, so they're like falling out like on this airship. Like, just wow, what an incredible scene. Like, this actually made me catch my breath a little bit as to like, oh shit, that would be crazy. And then you get the oncoming attack, ambush on its way. A really great end, wonderful way to end it, wonderful splash page. Just an awesome uh, story. an awesome way to tell the story. Again, I love the art. I just wish he'd fix his facial expressions and the way that he um, articulated the women's faces so I could understand more of who was who. And I think from the writer, from Mr. Fortier, I would have like if he could have set up with Chris, the artist, as a way to be able to better introduce the names of the characters and who they are with their faces, so you could kind of know who was who. Because I mean, you get a sense that they're going to do that, but I think I know Rocky. Everyone else, I just don't really know who they are. And there's more than four ladies. So, and there's only three on the cover. Anyway, interesting book. I looked it up and it looks like they only made four issues. But it's such a cool concept. It's a fun concept overall. Here's some ads to some books, some sort of like sci-fi drama called Triarch. And this is an ad for The Realm. This is a four-part series. And I guess, well, it says a special four-part series within a series, but The Realm went on for a long time, and this is issue number 40, and it looks like this particular issue, and particularly this cover, is a jam cover by all of these different artists, which includes Steve Bissette, Tim Bradstreet, is a name some of you out there in the world might recognize, Kevin Van Hook, Susan Van Camp, James O'Barr. So pretty interesting thing I'd like to get a hold of. And this looks like it's going to be the cover to issue number 2 by the artist himself. I really do like the cover. Another pretty cool. And here you're kind of getting a sense of like, okay, here's who some of these characters are. Here's the bad gal, the traitor. You get, I guess that's Rocky. Because of short blonde hair, and I don't know, is that the leader girl, or is there like a big strong armed girl? I don't know. And then this really cool ad in the back, Creatures of the Ed by Jeffrey Lang and M. Dalton. All red. Does that remind anybody of anything? This looks like it's one of the first works by Mike Allred, and that looks like an early version of Madman is what that looks like. So this is a painted cover. October of this year, so 1990. Looks like a pretty interesting, cool book. I would really like to check this out a lot. I love the lettering. Very horror centric. So there we go. Boston Bombers number 1. Not a bad book. I actually, enjoyed it. What my complaints are, but that's that. All right, so you can buy some of my own books on my web shop. There's links in the description. You can also sign up to my Patreon. You can get these videos early. You can get a thank you in these videos, and you can also get exclusive content for Psychonaut Presents material on my Patreon if you sign up. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. Keep it psycho.